Welcome everyone to our Fierce Friday. So we are Friday, September 16th. Can you guys believe this? We are almost halfway through September. Like this is gonna be November, Halloween. Time is flying by. I feel whenever the school starts for kids, like we're June. It happens so fast, I don't even know what happens, right? Are you guys agreeing with me? So we had an incredible call on Wednesday about pregnancy, prenatal, post, all of this great stuff, right? And we are like, you know what? This is exactly what we do, right? Nutrition and pregnancy, post, we all have a story. So on today's call, we are going to be sharing about these stories because we all have personal stories. And you know what? We know you guys all have incredible questions. So we are going to have a Q&A. So at the 15-minute mark of our call, we're going to open it up to all of you. So reserve all your questions. You can even write it in the chat and let us know, and we'll get to it at the 15-minute mark. But to begin our call, we will start with our In the News, and Carmela will begin with that.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, Taz, and happy Friday. So our piece in the news today comes just from a yesterday article from the Center for Food Safety, and it's actually a huge win for us all. And I'm really excited to bring it to your attention. Thanks to Naiva Flore, who extracted this article. So what is going on? What's happening in the news for us mamas and caregivers to know about the quality of our food, the cleanliness of what we're offered as far as labeling? Well, the court rules that the QR codes alone are unlawful for GMO labeling. So can you imagine that was all that was really, how many people are limited with even knowing what QR codes are and how to access them? Many. So, and many people are not technologically as advanced, but this is the only way that we're going to be able to access information about what is going into our homes and our foods to make a concerted effort to invest our money into. I don't think that's okay either. So this is a court decision that this from a lawsuit that was actually followed for an over 20-year campaign led by their Center for Food Safety to get GMO labeling in the United States as it is in over 60 countries around the world. So we're slowly moving towards where I think the world needs us to be, which is to be transparent about our nutrition. And as concerned mamas who we are, in this community, really educating people about how to read labels, it is a huge win. And it's a huge win for the American family. We can now make fully informed shopping decisions instead of being forced to use detective work to understand what food labels are hiding. So this is a quote direct from the Vice President Advocacy and Governmental Affairs for the National Grocers, who's actually we're going to be referring to in a little while for CTA. That's right. So I'm going to drop this into the chat and I'm going to pass it over to you to share our pledge.
Thank you so much, Carmela. Yes, that new in the news piece was very relevant right now. And so I thought it was just right on point for what we want to be sharing about. And let me go ahead and pull up our Million Mom Movement page. So right here under movement, there's a join button. And when you go here, you can scroll down, or in my case, scroll up because I was already on the page, and you'll see the pledge. So go ahead and read this with me. I pledge to defend the health of myself and my family. I pledge to choose organic foods that are minimally processed and free of man-made ingredients. I pledge to read labels and educate myself on all aspects of clean living. I understand that my actions today will positively impact the health and environment of future generations. I am committed to sharing this movement of many. I am the Million Mom Movement. Passing it back to you, Tess.
I love this pledge. We always say we're all about food advocacy and teaching everyone about the toxicity in our food and in our environment. So, that's one reason that led me onto this movement. I had no idea about the toxicity. I thought our bodies could naturally detox it by itself, right? Isn't that what we're taught? But you know what? It's not true. We are full with so much toxins. There's toxins in the food, in their environment, so many times. We're eating a day and we're putting another level of toxicity into our bodies, right? And what happens? Toxic overload happens. And then it leads to other chronic illnesses. And I love this calls about education, about showing us about education, right? We are teaching each other together. And this call is for mamas, is for papas, it's for aunties and uncles and kids. It's for everyone. Everyone is welcome to this call. So you guys know during the summer, I would have my kids on, Carm, you too, Naiva, you too. We always had our kids on, right? And our kids would be reading the pledge, but now they're in school. So now we hope that they took that education of the pledge, of them seeing how we live, and they go and spread it. They go spread it to school. They go spread it to their friends, to their teachers. How are you so smart? How are you absorbing all this education? Well, you know what? My mom is part of the Million Mom movement. They teach about this. They learn, they educate each other about what's in the food. Are you having artificial ingredients? Are you having dyes? You have to say no to that. Maybe go take a look at the pledge. See if this aligns with yourself and your family, right? This is the whole point why we do these calls. And today's call, we are going back to pregnancy, and we've all been there. So I'm Taz Ferreira. I'm originally from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and this business, this movement has actually allowed me and my family to move to Miami, Florida. How amazing. We are living our wildest dreams that we never thought would have been possible because of this movement. So, we heard, like, when I became pregnant, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what I needed to do, but there was books that you could read about what you needed for prenatal, right? And a lot of the calls that we do explains of all the nutrients you need for prenatal vitamins, right? And here in the movement, we show you healthy organic nutrition to eat for pregnancy. But what's something that was the biggest impact for me? So I have two kids. I have a 13-year-old and I have an 8-year-old. And their stories are completely different. Completely different pregnancies, completely different post-pregnancies. So while I was pregnant, so I had aura migraines. So this is migraines that affects your eyes, right? And you have to be in a closed room, in a dark room, you would get really sick and you would vomit. So I had migraines, eczema, Crohn's, endometriosis. I had so many issues. And when I became pregnant, they all went away. It was amazing. I'm like, okay, everything is gone. I'm feeling my best self. Your hair grows, you feel great. Okay. My pregnancy was wonderful, but no one prepared me for post-pregnancy. That's when everything came crashing down. Where were these books? I had no idea where to find these books. I had no idea where to go, where to turn. So I had an episiotomy, right? And then dealing with that, hemorrhoids, heartburn, no sleep, restless leg syndrome. I had to deal with so many things. I felt like my body, now I'm going through pregnancy. I'm like, this is like another stage of pregnancy. During pregnancy, I didn't have much issues. It was the post. I couldn't do anything. And let's not forget about the fatigue. I was exhausted. Breastfeeding takes so much out of you. So I had a natural pregnancy. It was easy. I didn't gain too much weight. I started looking at nutrition back then, right? So I thought I didn't miss anything. I'm like, who could be doing anything better than what I was doing? I was eating so healthy, putting all the nutrient in my body, but postpartum was horrible. My hair was so luscious and long while I was pregnant. As soon as I delivered, all of my hair was falling out. All of my hair was falling out. And I'm like, what do I do? But I kept hearing these words that I've grown to despise. It's normal. Taz, it's normal. It's normal. Everyone loses their hair. You're exhausted. You're a new mama. It's normal. Everyone would brush all of my issues aside and just tell me it's normal. Everything you're going through. Sleep when the baby sleeps. All of these things I would hear. Come on. Realistically, does that really happen? When the baby's sleeping, you gotta go get things done, right? We know as mamas, everyone says it to us, but I find I'm like, this is my time to get the most done. Who's gonna clean the house? Who's gonna organize supper? Who's gonna do this? I have to do this, right? But I'm too tired. I'm too tired to do this. My hormone levels were insane. All of my issues that I told you went away while I was pregnant. Well, guess what happened? They all came back, and not at the same level. They all came back with a vengeance. It's like they were all attacking me at once. What am I supposed to do? And go to the bathroom? Oh, that was a whole episode by itself. I didn't know how to use these things. They gave us these things for the toilet to sit on. Oh, it was horrible. Post-pregnancy was a nightmare for me. Let me tell you guys. Okay. So I used everything at the hospital that they told me to use, the witch hazel pad, take this medication, take all my anti-inflammatories. All right, I was looking for anything that could help me in that moment, right? Of course, no one's talking to me about nutrition. No one's talking to me about any of these things. So I have my son now, right? I'm pregnant with him. I am part of the superfood family. I'm into Purium. I'm doing all of my cellular nutrition. I'm feeling amazing. Of course, all of my issues went away again, right? My hair is shiny and luscious. I'm feeling amazing. My skin is glowing. Everything is great. And I'm on all the superfoods. This is the difference. So now I'm on everything. I'm on the power shake. I'm on the ionic elements. I'm on everything that I needed. So I started contrasting, right? Because I was a first-time mom already. So I can compare to what was different. I could sleep now. And you remember the restless leg syndrome? I didn't have these cramps anymore. I was like, wow, okay. Because I was taking magnesium back then. But the magnesium didn't work. It didn't work, right? So this is the thing with magnesium. You can't just work with magnesium by itself. You need to work with all of the trace minerals. And ionic elements has all of those things. But I didn't know. I just thought we just needed magnesium, right? You're taught anything to do with your legs, any syndromes, any cramping, magnesium. So you just go out and you get the first one that anyone recommends to you, really. So I started using ionic elements. I started using all of nutrition. Everything that I started understanding that would be helping my body and will be supporting my body. But I didn't realize how much it was supporting my body until I delivered. Because during pregnancy, right, everything was great. I was feeling my best self. So post-pregnancy with my son, it was so quickly. I delivered him within less than an hour, and recovery was like that. All of my doctors, everyone was so surprised. I had no bleeding. Everything was like bounced back. My body bounced back immediately. And they're like, how did you do it? What do you mean, how did I do it? I'm not waving a magic wand. This is nutrition. And it was so funny though, because all the doctors at the hospital, they were just like, no, tell us what you've been doing. And I'm like, nutrition. That's it. The super aminos, what it does, the apothecary, the spirulina, the chlorella, I mean, everything together were amazing. And I could start finally understanding. I had no more hemorrhoids. I didn't even go through it once. Going to the bathroom was seamless. I had no issues. My behavior, remember the fatigue that I went through, the exhaustion? I didn't have it anymore. Right out the hospital, I was like, yes, let's go. Give me that baby. I'm back at it. And everyone was always questioning, but how did she recover so quickly? How did she recover? You hear, this is a term that people use so frequently. Recover, right? Because when we give birth, it's a recovery. Our bodies need to recover. It's going through so much. Our organs are going through so much. So we need to give it the cellular nutrition that it needs to function. And once we start doing that, and then we can see great results. And the results were in my postpartum. So I had my hair loss. I did not go through that. My hair was luscious and amazing postpartum. Skin issues went away. So when you deliver, your hormones shifts dramatically. I didn't go through any of that as well. So everything that I went through with my daughter was complete opposite postpartum with my son. And we are going to talk a little bit more about like the nutrition and what we recommend, but I would love to hear from the rest of my colleagues about their story. So I'm passing it to you, Carm.
Thanks, Taz. Yeah, I totally I was there with you as you were telling the story because, it's so interesting to hear other moms' journeys because, even before you become a mom, you want to hear other moms' journeys and you want to know what's to expect. Well, honestly, I just tell you this, you have no idea what to expect because as much as you want to plan for it, just know what you can expect is to know what the body is going through at the time and how to mitigate it with what knowledge you have from all the different resources. So just know your body is going through a lot, building a baby. And, I had 2 children as well, like Taz, and they were completely different. And coming into the pregnancy, my first one, I was already a holistic practitioner. I was a licensed massage therapist, Qigong teacher, Kundalini yoga teacher. I actually certified myself in the Khalsa way, which is a prenatal yoga certification, because I really wanted to learn about my body, but I really wanted to help other mamas too, to learn about theirs. And it was an incredible birth, although it was completely different than the second. The first, of course, you don't know as much. And, I was all organic. I was eating also animal products throughout my whole pregnancy. So I was craving them. This was a girl. So the girls are a little different than the boys too. And so just so you know, the estrogen levels were like raging in me. The liver goes through, 1,000 times the amount of estrogen production when you have a baby, and especially when you have a girl. And so I was craving blood building food like beef, like anything that had iron, any greens, and not so much sugar, but carbs. So carbs were my thing. And so at that time, I was taking another superfood product line, but it was not at all as sustainable and convenient and really educational. So I was lacking. And I knew I was lacking as I was going through it. If I was reading and looking for all the books and all the things. I had 2 natural healthy births. There was absolutely 0 problems at all. And I felt well the entire time, but I was really big. Like, I think I gained 60 pounds during my pregnancy. That first pregnancy, I was like, wow, I ate so much. And I just wasn't getting enough through with the food. Now, thinking back, I understood. I was just not getting enough. And I was trying to find sources. So by the way, I was in acupuncture school at the time. So I was walking to the train and really bringing my food with me and taking a train and walking another 6 blocks. So they had told me to stop everything. You're just too big. You need bed rest. And I was like, no, I don't want to stop moving my body. I really feel like this is exactly what I need to do. So I had a really beautiful birth, and I can't say anything at all. Postpartum, I felt the healthiest I'd ever felt in my life. That was like a really interesting first birth, right? My first one. The second one, not so much postpartum. It was completely difficult because I remember after the first birth, I went to Ibiza, I went to Burning Man. I was like all over the place, like living in my best shape, my best body. But that was after I lost 60 pounds, right? So it's also, I was 38 years old at that time. And to really understand where my thyroid balance were, where my HGH levels were, I was a little younger than 3 years later, right? I had my second. And at this point, I still didn't know anything about Purium. I was searching, I was scouring, looking for solutions and resources, and I could not find them. But I had an incredible birth. I did. It was on call. It happens 1 in a million. It's when the baby's born in the sac. So he came out literally, and like the doctor wasn't even present. It was too quick. And it was so healthy, we did a lot of energetic healing and work for that, but it was postpartum that I was struggling. Oh my goodness. Right after about 6 months in, I was like, this was not my first experience. Now what do I do? And so I could not lose this stubborn 30 pounds. I was diagnosed bronchitis, Hashimoto's, anemia, and I had eczema. And I was like, what is happening in my body? I was depressed. This was a different level of spiraling that I was familiar with. I've never been that unhealthy. And that's when I found Purium. So it really did catapult me into a position where I'm like, absolutely, yes, everything you're saying to me. And I was in a stage where I could see a before and after. right? And so this was a really great way for me to begin a business, which I inadvertently did just from saying, absolutely, yes, I'm in, to do a 10-day cleanse twice. And then in between did a core 4, because at that time they didn't have a 30-day. So hands down, the aminos, it was like everything about, I'm a massage therapist. I'm very physically active. If I don't have enough aminos daily, I am a carb girl. I am craving it. I'm constantly moving in an action. My brain's moving, my body's moving, everything's moving. So aminos are always the way. So super meal I leaned on. I love the nutrition. Oh my gosh, I felt like my body just like needed mega doses of it throughout. And so I'd learn how to bake with it, cook with it, drink it, every which way. I just got really creative with it. And mamas will do it, whatever it takes, because when you feel the nutrition, it's another level. And it's the minerals that I was missing in my nutrients. That's what was really, really key, because my teeth were falling apart. My nails were super brittle. My hair was through both pregnancies. And I was like, something is missing and I need more of it. And as soon as I got a hold of these superfoods, the minerals that came into my body, everything just started growing like a garden. I was like, wow, the difference of that, like the tropical first thing in the morning, take a tablespoon, and that gets the healthy fats in the body too. And then as soon as you hit it with chlorella, barley grass juice, that is an alkaline state you're immediately forming. So your inflammation, just, of course, you're building all of these fluids, you're doubling your blood. And when I was anemic, it's because I need a lot of blood building food. So when you're talking about spirulina is nature's multivitamin. Now, as a prenatal yoga teacher and a massage therapist for prenatal and postnatal, I would always recommend, guys, don't trust only those prenatal vitamins. If you want to take them, you can, but I would definitely lean on spirulina, Cocoa-Mint spirulina, super meal. But of course, there are some contraindications of some of our products that we want to address that are not that are important for people to know, like the third trimester. Of course, we don't want to induce contractions. So the aloe, you just want to avoid the aloe. And the Love Super Meal also has that in it. So I also advise not to use it on the third trimester. So of course, I learned this postpartum when I'm working with other mamas, and I've helped so many of my own good, dear friends and my team, their good friends and family, have a healthy pregnancy. And the second thing I really wanted to share aside for my story was the nursing aspect. So for new mamas, I always recommend at least minimally going towards like 6 months. If you could do a whole year, ideally, 1 whole year, ideally. I had leaky gut since I was a child. So I was not about to pass that down as my legacy. So I knew, oh my gosh, thank God that I found this program, because what I was able to do was avoid all the garbage, all the things that, we have in society, and really repair my gut health, because we all know mamas pass down their microbiome health to their child. And we know that glyphosate, the active ingredient Roundup, is passed through mother's milk and the umbilical cord of mamas. So when we have such pure ingredients that support us, I think it's crucial for us to think about detox in a different way. We don't know a lot about glyphosate, but in general as a society, but this community does. This community does. And it's not the same detox as what other people might assume is detox, underlying detox, highlighted detox for women, because we always think it's not adequate to push toxins through when we're giving the baby nutrition through breast milk. Well, I beg to differ. I have definitely witnessed firsthand so many healthy mamas who are unexpectedly pregnant to have healthy births and use the Biomedic and use the Epigenius. And it was remarkable, like what has happened, and the importance of us understanding through this Toxin That Came to Dinner book, which is really, really key to our resources. If you don't have it, please take a look at this. This is our direct resource to confirm that this toxin, it is in all of our homes. And if we don't take it out daily, we're just, not able to absorb anything nutrient wise, and we're going to be deficient. And if we pass that on to building children, it's not a good thing. I nursed for 6 years, 3 years for each of my children to ensure the future gut health. That's how committed I was to their gut health. I was like, nope, I'm going to be feeding myself all of this amazing superfood. This is for my second child, but I still was nursing my first child. Actually, I was nursing two at one time. And then I weaned off one after the third year for about 6 months. And then I started just on my son alone. So that was 6 years of learning how important our nutrition and our gut health is for passing on to our children. And so that's something that, of course, you don't have to go 30 years, but, a good solid year of your nutrition passed through your healthy gut microbiome that you've also supported through organic superfood nutrition and detoxifying glyphosate, which is a key component to, our protocol, which is very different education. I think that is what sets up the future generation. So I'm going to pass the mic over now to Naive. I'm so excited to hear what she has to say.
Well, thank you so much, Carm. So many golden nuggets from you and Taz. Thanks for all the valuable information. And so I have 2 sons, and I started when I was postpartum with my second son about 8 years ago, actually. And I was 4 months postpartum. So what I can share is how I was feeling when I was introduced to these superfoods. I have 4 stepkids, and then I had my son, and then I had our son together. So we have a combined family, and my morning routine was crazy. So for any of you moms with lots of kids or more than one kid, a baby and other children, you might relate to this, right? I was getting up in the morning, getting the kids ready. I was overwhelmed first thing in the morning, stressed out, and I was undernourished because I was living off coffee until noon. So this is something that I think a lot of moms in the United States, but all around the world, we're so overwhelmed that we forget to take care of ourselves. And there's so many books that teach you what to do while you're pregnant and how to, nourish yourself, take care of yourself, but there's really not a lot of education on what to do after you have the baby. How do you nourish yourself? How do you balance mom life? How do you create, wholesome meals for yourself and your family? This is something that we don't educate a lot about. So when I had my son, I had 5 kids in 4 different schools. So my morning routine was crazy hectic. And like I said, I wasn't nourishing myself fully. I was, drinking coffee until noon, maybe eating the rest of the kids' cereal after I dropped them off. Whatever the thing was that I was doing, it was not working for me. I was super overwhelmed. I was tired. I was, not nourishing myself. So my energy levels when the kids came back from school was crashing, and I wanted to take a nap. And that's not the ideal time to be taking a nap when your kids come home from school, because you have homework, you have afternoon activities, and then you have dinner to prepare for, and then the evening routine. So it's not ideal to be crashing at 2:30 in the afternoon. And then add on the sleepless nights from breastfeeding, right? Add that on to the package, and you're barely making it through the day. So I was introduced to these superfoods by my midwife and doula, who had been urging me to take them since I had my son. She was like, you need these superfoods. They'll be so impactful for you. They'll be so helpful. And I had a block. I had a block because I live in Kauai. I have access to a ton of fruits and vegetables and organic farms. I was like, I'll make smoothies and juice. So I did that. I was making smoothies and juicing. And you know what I realized is that there's not as much nutrients as we think in our juices anymore because of the mineral deficiency in our soils. So even though I was juicing, and let me tell you, the price of vegetables are expensive. The time it takes to wash and prepare those vegetables is time consuming. And then you make yourself a glass of juice, and you can only make so much because you don't want to have this fresh juice sitting in the fridge for days and days on end. So you can't really prepare for like the whole week ahead of time with that time that you're blocking out to create this amazing food. So I tried that. I was making the smoothies, I was taking the time, and I wasn't seeing results in my energy or my sleep or my mood. I was drinking a smoothie, and half an hour later I was starving again. And so my midwife and doula, Willow, noticed this, and she kept trying to give me the superfoods. Finally, one day she literally left me a bottle of the Love Super Meal and a $50 gift card on my porch when I wasn't home. That's really how I started, you guys. And so I came home, and she left me a message. She said, hey, I left you some superfoods because I know this will help you. And so I got home, I made a shake, I drank half of it, and I was full. and I made it through the rest of the afternoon. I had energy for the rest of the afternoon, and I literally drank the second half of my shake around dinner time. And that right there was when my mind clicked. And I was like, wow, I just made it through the whole afternoon without feeling like I need a nap. I am able to, be present with my kids. I'm not feeling like I need a snack on their after school snacks. And I was feeling way better energy in my body. And then I started noticing that I was also sleeping better and waking up in a better mood for my children in the morning. So I wasn't, even though it was stressful and I had to get them up and out of bed and to school on time, I was able to just have a better balance in myself so that I could really be present with them and not be overwhelmed and like just so malnourished myself that I was just not patient. I had no more patience in me. And so I was able to nourish myself so that I could better take care of my family and be a better mom. And that's really, these superfoods helped me so much, from being postpartum with my son and just burning the candle at both ends, so to speak, to being fully nourished and taking care of myself. I mean, the change was drastic. And I never went back. I've used these superfoods ever since, and it has been such a huge blessing. And one of the things that I love educating about and sharing about is nourishing yourself postpartum, because so many women don't know what to do. We talk all about prenatals while you're pregnant and how to nourish yourself and what foods to eat and not eat when you're pregnant. And then you have the baby and you're like, now what do I do? Right? So it's so important to share what we know about this time in life. Not to mention, these superfoods are so easy to make, right? I was so busy, I had so much going on, but I could add water and superfoods to my shake and run out the door and still get all my kids to school on time, because it was that simple. I didn't have to make a whole nother breakfast and sit down and eat it. It was something I could take with me. It was simple, it was fast, it was nutritious, and it totally saved my day. So that's a little bit about what I want to share. I want to leave time open for those of you who have questions about this subject, because I know there's so much to cover here today. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to you, Tess.
Thank you so much, Naeva and Carmela, for your shares. These are incredible stories. You see, we all have stories that we've been through, right? And I also want to talk about, what Carmen was talking about, the blood building, right? The iron. This is when you're feeling exhausted. You're feeling exhausted and you're like, well, my body needs iron, right? So it's an indication. So what would happen to me is I would have all of the iron. I had nature's multivitamin, which is spirulina, right? But what happens is that you can't take that by itself. You need vitamin C. The vitamin C is what helps transport this. So having a vitamin C that's not ascorbic acid in our C from nature is so key. So pairing the right partners is so essential to our nutrient. And when we're pregnant, our prenatals, so I really like to look at whole food nutrition for prenatals, okay? And we hear that all the times, our gynecologists, our doulas, whoever we're working with, they're always saying you need to have folate, right? Okay, so that's so important. It's folate, not folic acid. A lot of these vitamins that they have at any store, any Whole Foods, they're not the right component. And we need to look at whole foods. So I like looking at the green spectrum. This is actual folate. 2 tablespoons of this, I believe you get your full amount of folates, and you have your vitamin K, and you have your calcium. Because where do you find your calcium? In greens, right? Maybe it doesn't say on the labels, because I get asked all the time, but Taz, it doesn't say on the labels. Yes, but you get your greens through calcium, and you have all of your calcium in there. You have your vitamin K in there. You have your folate in there. You have all of your C veggies, right? So the green spectrum is key. The spirulina, the C from nature, the green spectrum, the zincate. We need all of our minerals, right? The zincate, our body needs the zinc. It needs the vitamin A, C, D, and E. We need this for our skin. We need this for development for our babies. So combining all of this together is essential. And the ionic elements, which I mentioned, all the trace minerals. And when we are introducing all of this, the irons that our body needs, it needs to circulate, right? Chlorella. Chlorella is another one I love. I love to introduce this to my body. My body loves it. I feel it growing, and, I feel the oxygen flowing, right? So it's great. And now we're going to open it up for whoever has a question about this, right? Even if you have a share as well, you are open to do so. So I will look to see if we have any hands raised or any questions in the chat that we may have missed. Oh, there, Christopher.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Christopher, welcome.
Hey, so I just had a question. So, I know you spoke about avoiding aloe and the super meal in the third trimester. Is there anything else that you would, or at any other time in the pregnancy that you say no go to consuming? You know what I'm saying?
So I heard the aloe. What were the others?
Yep. So I know you had said something about not taking the super meal or the aloe in the third trimester. I'm just wondering if there's anything else, like biomedic or anything during breastfeeding or stuff like that that shouldn't be taken.
Contraindications. Yeah, he's asking contraindications.
So I think biomedic is actually essential to be taking while pregnant, okay? Because we know that glyphosate actually passes through the umbilical cord, and the best way to help detox our baby is for us to be taking it, right? But what happens, like what Carm said, when people hear detox, cleansing, they get scared of this word, right? Let's not be scared, because it's not a detox of a diarrhea. It's not of this sort. It's eliminating this poison from our bodies, which is eliminating this poison from our babies, right? So the aloe can cause miscarriages sometimes. So this is why we say to avoid it. And it could actually put you into onset labor. Okay. And the love meal, Carm, do you know?
Well, besides those two products, I mean, specifically it's the third trimester that it has the possibility to induce contractions. That's it. Everything else in our menu, our catalog, is golden, which actually you want to have them eat mostly superfoods if possible, because again, like you're working with a woman who's building a baby in the digestive, like right up against the digestive tract. So it's really hard for them to have bowel movements. It's really hard for them to like consume a lot of weight, anything that creates waste that has to store in their body. Like the more nutrient dense, minimally processed foods that are pure like ours, you've got an amazing baby being born. And yeah, nothing else is really. Read the blog in the chat. And also on Sacred Superfoods for Nursing and Beyond is a great page where Annie Barra, Dave's current wife, has listed her whole first, second, third trimester list of incredible products that she'd used and why. There's like specific things for breastfeeding, like barley grass juice and tropical oil is really good for helping. We know about herbal teas, but this is our specific response to that. Yeah, there's actually a lot of resources right now. So thank you for the question. And yeah, when you dig more, you're going to find a lot of great testimonials. And I like to lean on Annie's testimonial because her father's Dave Sandoval. Well, the father of the child.
And Christopher, no super cleanser. Okay, so no parasitic cleanse. And chlorella is another one that's a little controversial, okay? So what I like to do with chlorella, even before you get pregnant, is start it. Start chlorella daily, okay? Because if you have never taken chlorella and then all of a sudden you use it, you start maybe second trimester, you might have some symptoms, okay? So start it as early as possible. So that's why there's a controversy about that. And a lot of allopathic doctors, whenever they like look up chlorella, they look up cleansing, so they get scared with this term again. So just be aware of everything and take a look at the blog.
Great point, Taz. Yes, earlier for chlorella.
Okay.
Let's go to Sherry. Yeah.
Hi guys. I don't really have a question, but I wanted to share a little bit. I was hearing all of your stories and brought me back to mine. And I wish so much that I knew about all of these amazing superfoods when I was pregnant, because I had to, I mean, my first pregnancy, right? I was just starting to learn about holistic health. And so I had a pretty rough pregnancy. I gained a whole lot of weight. I had a rough postpartum. I had fibromyalgia and I had a huge flare up, and I had to go on medication, which I had resisted doing before I got pregnant, but afterwards it was just, I was in intense pain from like morning to night nonstop. I couldn't sleep. And then with my second, I knew a bit better. So I did a bit better, but still my postpartum was tough. And only found out years later that I actually had postpartum anxiety. So I'd always heard about postpartum depression, but I didn't know anything about postpartum anxiety. I'd never even heard the term, but it's real. And a lot of moms go through it and don't know. And so I was in a heightened state of anxiety afterwards. And my hormones were completely unbalanced. And that went undetected by any doctor for years. And only now, a year ago, actually, when I found these amazing superfoods, have I been able to correct that. So for anyone who is pregnant now or is thinking about getting pregnant, it's definitely the time to do this. And I just recently had a few customers come on who are pregnant, and it like makes my heart so happy to be able to get them going on this now, because I mean, these are literally super babies in the making, right? So that's, I just wanted to share that. And thanks for this call. I think it's amazing. So much great information to share.
Thank you so much, Cherry. You know what Cherry's talking about, anxiety. So this has to do with your gut permeability, right? Because your gut is your second brain. So what happens is that we're taking all of these prenatal vitamins and they're full of toxins. They're full of ascorbic acid. They're full of all of these things. They're destroying our microbiome. So if you are not repairing your gut, this is why we stress Biomedic. The Biomedic actually repairs your gut permeability, and it helps absorb the iron. It helps absorb the vitamin C, all of the minerals our body needs. It helps that, right? So that's why we can be going through exhaustion. We can go through mineral deficiency because of our gut permeability. Okay. See you, Becca.
Hello. I have a question about like nervous system support for postpartum, because our window of tolerance for stress can be diminished after giving birth. That was definitely something I experienced. I mean, I wasn't on superfoods at the time, but I'm just wondering if there's something to help nervous system resiliency postpartum. Like I know that if gut health helps anxiety just naturally, but is there something extra that you could give or suggest for a mom that's having some struggles in that way?
Carm, do you want to take that?
Yes, Becca, you're right. Gut health is probably the root of all, because of course the neurosynapses are more than in the brain. So you're actually extremely sensitive, of course, with the hormones as well. So when you have any kind of inflammation, it affects the nervous system almost immediately. So I like CBD. I have that same tendency myself of postpartum anxiety, and definitely inflammation down, the apothecary at night. Your sleep is your medicine, right, for anxiety too. And I think that if you don't get enough sleep, which a lot of moms just don't, then they need to up their amounts of anthocyanins. So biofruit, can't beat this on a more minimal scale, but I still recommend it if people want to get off of coffee and they need the support of energy. But definitely the apothecary CBD is really great, and the relax pills are really wonderful for mamas, because just the kava, it's really meant for us to just calm. And we also have what is that tincture for children that's really helpful. Maybe ladies can help me. In focus, yes. So anything with that, this is my realm. That's in my cabinets, and all of that is very gentle. It's gentle for us, for the baby, for nursing, even prenatal. it won't harm or hurt. Yeah. Thank you for asking.
Okay,
And God bless. Yeah. And always make sure you have enough hydration too. I'm finished a 5-day challenge right now of drinking 128 ounces of water. And goodness, you never realize how dehydrated you are until you do a challenge. So many women also, that's another great source of anxieties. You're just massively dehydrated, often also because of the minerals as well. The minerals are missing. So drop the ionic elements into every shake that you have. That really helps. The tablespoon of the tropical oil first thing in the morning for fats, but also it's just electrolytes as well. Anything coconut is great for the body.
Okay, on to you, Dominique.
Hi, ladies. So I have a question for one of my friends. Her daughter is autistic, and she actually has been incorporating a lot of our superfoods in. She loves the MVP family and the green spectrum, but her mom has really noticed that she needs to do like a parasite cleanse. She wants her to detoxify parasites. She's 11 years old. Would you say that it's safe for her to add in super cleanser, or what would you recommend for her to do a parasite cleanse at her age?
Okay, so I don't recommend any cleansing for any children. Okay, so absolutely not for a parasite cleanse. That's in my opinion. I would start evaluating, why does she need a parasite cleanse? How is she eating? Is she having too much sugar? Is she having a large accumulation of, white flours? Start looking at that, start investigating these things and cut that out, because we don't want children to have any, the good and bad food. This is something that I never want kids to think of food that way. It's not a good and bad. It's everything is great. It's just retraining your body to crave the right things. Introduce the power shake, introduce the barley greens. So the barley greens are great to change the taste. If they love sweets, now it starts tasting differently, right? So have them introduce barley shots every morning. The green spectrum, our whole juice bar. Overload, flood their body with nutrients, right? And don't even talk about cleanse with them. This is how they live, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. I'll let her know.
I'd also say maybe an enema for kids. More kids should be having enemas. In general, that's what they used to do long ago. And if they feel like it's gut, or I actually was wondering the same thing, like what are the symptoms leading to wanting to ask this question? Are you clear about what the symptoms are?
Kevin, on you again.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, she, because she's, on the spectrum, she's really picky with certain things. So she does like the green spectrum in the morning and the shot of that, but she said like either after school or sometimes she can't control what she eats at school, but she does crave a lot of bread. A lot. Yeah. She was like, sometimes she just wants bread. That's it. So it's really hard. She's working with her to like cut back on that, but it's hard for her because when she wants it, she, is really, acts out about it. So I know it for sure is the white, flour in the breads.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So it's the cravings. It's starving off whatever those cravings are. So that's key. Elimination. Yeah, elimination. And then if you want to do naturally, like a colonic flushing, my actual colon hydrotherapist who I interviewed here in the Million Mom Movement, she helped her son who is autistic reverse all of his symptoms from creating this patented table for colonics. So that's a natural way of also cleansing, but definitely starving off if they think it's parasite. Naturally is just lots more folic acid, like greens, like you said, green spectrum, barley green, grass, and aminos. And because you want to stop the craving, so you want to starve it off and then flush it out. That's another way to do the super cleanser without doing the super cleanser.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That was so helpful. I can't wait to tell her.
And Ephigenia's kids, I mean, she have the child participate in all the food, making it, what I've noticed is that kids are very tactile, right? They want to play with it. So have it like, have them make like balls with it and they can eat it and it becomes fun. So now you'll see with time, their craving starts to change. And it
Mhm.
happens naturally. And then it's beautiful.
Mhm.
I love all those tips. And I actually happen to have a picture from when I went to Dave's autism retreat a couple months ago. And the products that they were giving to the children there was Green Spectrum, Revivitol, Croxel Chlorella, Biomedic, Biofruit, In Focus, Apothecary, and CBD. So if that's helpful. That was what we were giving the children there at the autism retreat to help them with their cognitive thinking, their motor skills, all of it. It just really helps to bring it all in. So that's the recommendation that we were providing there at the retreat.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. We do have a lot of resources outside specific for autistic. I was just about to answer the prenatal question. Do we have a prenatal protocol? We do have a prenatal protocol. It's in the blog as well as on the superfoods, sacred superfoods, birthing beyond. Sometimes I forget the full name, but there is one there in the files. I can directly connect with you, Victoria. And then, oh, can you list here? There's one other question. Oh, protocol first thing in the morning, tropic oil. Well, that's just a tablespoon. It's also very antifungal. When I was working against Candida, women who have gestational diabetes, which is really common, there's like a placental hormone that activates like the need for blood sugar spikes. So it's, taking that first thing in the morning helps you to kill off any of those bad bacteria that are craving those sugars and bread. So definitely I like the tropic oils. It's so pure. Ours is such a different quality. If you've ever tried any other, and I'm from the Philippines, so most of it's coming from my country, but coconut oil, ours is really like medicinal to me.
And to say something what Karma's just mentioning, so in the mornings, it's really important to have protein to help that blood sugar levels, right? So you can use our MVP family, you can use our super aminos to have that extra amount of protein and have that shot of barley grass. Okay. Mary, I'm trying to unmute Mary.
Hey. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Sorry, I'm in the middle of something right now. Can you actually call on someone else and then I can ask in a second? I'm so
Absolutely.
sorry.
No problem. Okay, so I'm unmuting you, Patty.
Okay, hi. I just wanted to say I'm in agreement with the whole eating thing. And as far as with kids, my neighbor, he was an army medical guy, and he said one of the symptoms of children with parasites was bedwetting. They're nocturnal, and I'll never forget that. But a very gentle anti-parasite thing is I picked up at a raw food workshop was creating capsules with chili pepper and honey. The parasite is attracted to the honey, and then they get a hit of the chili, cayenne pepper, and they're like, so that's just, it's very gentle, and cayenne pepper is considered a thinking herb. So that was just a little tip. But I also wanted to say that if you have animals, if you have dogs, I mean, you have what your dogs have. And I constantly use a little anti-parasitic thing on their belly, and I'll use it on my belly. I swallow frozen castor oil capsules that choke the parasite, that by the time it thaws out, the castor oil will do its thing in the lower intestinal tract, but generally they like to hang out in the small intestine. So so thank you.
Thank you so much, Patty. So I have to mention, so castor oil, do not take it if you're pregnant, okay? Because this can put you into labor. You can go into labor. A lot of people, whenever they're like, okay, I need to get into labor now, they take a shot of castor oil. okay, to like stimulate to go into labor. So don't take that, but that's interesting, Patty. I will definitely look into this. And I wanted to mention, so during my first and second trimester, I went through a lot of heartburn. I went through a lot of heartburn when I was pregnant. And what helped me is Aloe Digest. I know Aloe Digest isn't great at the third trimester, but in the first and second, it actually can be really soothing and healing of your sphincter if you're going through any like acid reflux.
We're being asked some questions, so from protocols for autism, for prenatal. So if you go to our Purium blog, you can search in the little box there for those specific words, and you'll find a lot of information that's vetted direct from our corporate headquarters for what protocols are ideal. So it's not just us, the Million Mom, but it's also our company and our formulator.
Well, thank you everyone for the amazing questions. Okay, so now we have our call to action. And Carmela, can you share what companies we need to contact this week?
Absolutely. Okay, so our call to action is our activism. So you're here because the Million Mom movement is the activism arm, but what are we doing? What are we doing about these atrocities, the toxicities? We're helping our community to get into action to do specific thing that will flood different companies that are toxic, full of glyphosate. And we have evidence that they are toxic and they are full of glyphosate. So I'm just going to open up. Apologies for the many windows open. Hang on a moment. So we're going to go here to direct you to the detoxproject.org. And this tab reports will take you here to this poison in our Daily Bread article. And now when you scroll down, we are going to find that there are many companies, even ones that you think might be vetting all of the products and their buyers know anything about glyphosate that's happening, but they actually don't. So we have a list down below. Sorry, here we go. Of different products that we are going to focus on each week. So this week it's not the chickpeas. The red lentils from Natural Grocers. I wasn't familiar with this company, but it's in apparently the Colorado area. Anything over 10 parts per billion is actually asked to be avoiding, right? So here it is over 140 parts per billion, and it's only non-GMO, which means that they don't test for glyphosate. So what we're asking for you to do is to go to their website in Instagram. So go to their Instagram profile. I don't have it up right now, but if you go to search Natural Grocers, and then the very last, most recent post that they made, please go direct to them and say, did you know your red lentils have over 144 parts per billion? Are you aware that glyphosate is the cause of many leading disease states that are current in our society? And the more people that have this post ongoing on that one post, it's comments on post, we believe we can continually make a difference for all these other companies here. So you see Whole Foods is our next one, 365, Good Gather, General Mills, obviously, but even Bob's Red Mill. So there's a lot of products that we really feel like they need to be held accountable and to look. I was showing up her phone to look at the Instagram page for the company. So the very most recent post, please, let's all flood. Let's use our energy, our activism voices to make a comment and just say, are you aware that your red lentils have very high parts per billion of glyphosate? Do you even know what glyphosate is? And yes, that's great prompts too. Do you know that glyphosate is the leading cause of many disease states in our world, and that the product is over 144? Thank you so much. Yes. Awesome. So I'm going to pass it to Neva to close us out. Thank you, Taz, so much for leading the call. That was beautiful. Thank you all for also participating in the Q&A.
Thank you so much, Carmela, for that. So yes, please go to Natural Grocers on Instagram, show them your activism, ask them if they're aware of this, ask them to remove it, what they're doing to remove this chemical. This is our activism. And so we'd like to invite you back next week for what does activism look like to us? So we'd love to invite you back to come learn more. And you know, whoever invited you here today, if you're brand new, please reach back out to them and we'd love to include you in our community. We have so much going on. And if you're not already, please go ahead and follow us on Instagram so you can stay tuned to what's going on, as well as join us in our Million Mom Movement official Facebook group, where we post a ton of content, stuff that you can use on your social media and so much more. So until next week, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks. Goodbye, everyone. See you next Friday.